Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Run In Podcast. I am your host, Big Mike, back again with another huge wrestling show coming up. AEW All In from London, England. AEW's biggest pay-per-view of the year. It is a huge card. There's 10 matches on there. We are going to go through, give my predictions on every single one of them. Hopefully we get them right. If not, let me know in the comments. Let me know where I messed up. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what you enjoyed. But just how you thought the show went. These things you tend to be an epic show. With a lot of the criticism AEW gets, the one thing that I don't think anybody can ever criticize is how great their pay-per-view matches are. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of action. There's definitely one of the highlights of AEW as a whole is how, the quality of wrestling and the amount of wrestling you get in a pay-per-view. You definitely get your bang for your buck, as I've said on a few podcasts in the past. The Thursday night tag team with myself, Mr. U, Sped, and EC. I've talked about it there. I've talked about it on here. No matter what you say about AEW, no matter what you think, the quality of matches and the amount of matches you get when you pay, $60, $70, $80 for a pay-per-view, it is definitely worth it. There's a 2-hour buy-in. So there's one of the matches will be on there. So technically 9 matches for the main show, 1 for the buy-in. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, it's going to be a huge show. Kind of quick look at the overall card. There are all 10 matches that are going down. Obviously you have some blank spots in one of the matches down there, and you have the gauntlet match, which there's going to be some surprises, which we'll talk about both of those. Reveal who that fourth team is in the trios 4-way tag match, London ladder match for the trios title. It's going to be convoluted with 12 people running around with ladders, but we'll get to that in due time. But yeah, without further ado, let's start off with some predictions. We'll start off in the buy-in pre-show kind of match. You've got CMLL Women's Champion Willow and Tomohiro Ishii against her rival at the moment, Chris Statlander, former friend and now bitter rival, and Stokely Hathaway. The winner actually gets to pick the stipulation for their next match, which is going to be in 2 weeks at All Out for that CMLL championship, I do believe. This match, it should be a lot of fun. Stokely Hathaway is usually pretty entertaining. Tomohiro Ishii, while is a legend in wrestling for being one of the hardest hitters in the business, he can also be funny when he wants to. He's done some matches here in AEW where he's done a little bit of comedy, done a little bit of hard hitting, a little bit of everything. I think that will lend itself more to this being a little bit more of a fun match instead of just a hard hitting brawl. A good way to do the kickoff. A lot of entertainment. I do think with the stipulation that is laid into it, I think Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway will win. I just think in these types of matches where you have a pick the stipulation, it makes more sense for the heel to win the match, especially considering Willow and Stat are 2-2 in their series. They're tied up. The next one that'll be at All Out will kind of be the tiebreaker. Like I said, for the CMLL Women's Championship that Willow won after Stephanie Vacour vacated it when she left the promotion. But yeah, it really just makes sense for the heel to win this. Really pick a stipulation that benefits her. Maybe it's a 2-on-1 handicap match with her and Stokely against Willow, something similar to that, where you can have Willow either fight from underneath as the babyface underdog, even though she's going in as a champion. So you have the stipulation that the heel picks. Usually when a babyface picks it doesn't really make a lot of sense because as the good guy, quote unquote, why would you pick a stipulation to benefit you? She could always do it and make it like a Extreme Rules match or a Weapons Wild match, whatever you want to call it. But in my opinion, with everything going on with the way it's set up, Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway get the win. Pick the stipulation for All Out. They go in and have the one-on-one match there, and we'll see what happens at All Out. Next up, you have the Casino Gauntlet match. And look, these matches, multi-man matches, especially when you don't know all the participants, are hard. They're hard to pick. I mean, there's some obvious contenders in there. You've got Orange Cassidy, who's been doing a lot, and some stuff behind the scenes saying that AEW may want to push him into a main event, picture here soon. You've got Hangman Page, who has history with Swerve, who is the current champion. Depending on what happens in the main event, we'll talk about that at the end here. Uh, and then some surprises. The rumor that Ricochet has officially signed with AEW and will make his appearance at All In probably in this match. It would be a good way to debut him. You've got a lot of other surprises that could happen. I really just think with everything going on, because the winner does get a guaranteed world title shot, as you see on the graphic there, it really makes sense again to me. And you'll hear me say that a lot. What I think makes sense. That's not always obviously what happens, because wrestling is unpredictable. That's one of the things we love about it. But it just makes sense for Hangman Page or Orange Cassidy to win. Also, I'll say too, I think Hangman Page will go with it. But to me, one of those two should take it. You could have a really cool spot where Hangman Page and Jeff Jarrett go at it, because they've been fighting each other back and forth. That will set up a match with those two at All Out. Since they didn't do one for All In, I've heard a few people talk about on the internet that they wanted Jeff Jarrett and Hangman Page at All In. Shout out to Tom Campbell, Cultaholic, who's been pushing really, really hard for that one. But I think you may set up something for All Out a couple weeks down with those two, and maybe Jeff Jarrett takes Hangman Page out, which would open the door for somebody else. My opinion would be Orange Cassidy. But without that, I think it's going to be Hangman Page to set up something in the future with Swerve. Obviously, you have the history of the previous matches with Hangman and Swerve, which have been amazing matches, kind of gruesome matches. That's the infamous match where Hangman drank Swerve's blood in the match. So that one wasn't for everybody, but it was a really cool match overall. They make really good matches together. They make really good sense together. And if you're going to have, whether he wins the title or not, there is always a way to get Hangman and Swerve on a card together, and it will make a great match and make great sense because of their history together. So, either way you go, whether Hangman wins or not, I think you can set up something with either Jeff Jarrett or Swerve coming forward, whether he wins. But yeah, I think that's who it's going to be. I think it's going to be really fun to see Hangman again, no matter who he's facing, whether it's Daniel Bryan. Maybe he's the guy that takes out Daniel Bryan's career after, if Daniel Bryan wins. I think it will be one of those where as soon as Daniel Bryan loses the title, he says, my next loss is going to be a retirement, since this is technically a title versus career match later on in the night. He would be a good shout to get a lot of that heat, to take out Daniel Bryan if Swerve doesn't do it. So there's just a lot that could happen. And I know I've only mentioned like 2 or 3 people. You've got some other people that are going to be in here: Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, the other guys in the conglomerate. And I don't know a whole lot after that. I've heard, and I forgot, I'm blanking on the guy's name. Michael Oku, newly signed to AEW. He's an English wrestler, so he's going to be a hometown favorite there in the match. So there's a lot, again, the Ricochet thing, if that's true, you've got a lot of free agents who can make their debuts. You've got Dijak, who's been at a few tapings. Just a lot of different things that could happen there. But I think in the end, it's got to be Hangman just to set up something in the future. So now we'll start with sort of the main matches. Starting off with the casket match for the TNT title. Jack Perry, the Scapegoat, versus Darby Allin in a coffin match. And then this is kind of Darby Allin's specialty match. Obviously, he's got kind of that look to it. I don't think, though, just looking forward, again, you've got a lot of stuff going on with Darby Allin. He's got a world title match hanging in the balance because of a match he won a couple of weeks ago. So he's got some other stuff he could go do. I don't see that you stop Jack Perry's momentum right now by making him lose the title. He just got the new title belt that he apparently made himself while he was suspended. He apparently took up a new hobby, as you saw on the vignette the other day. So but with everything he's got going on, with the heat he's garnered, with being with the elite, the EVPs, the kind of the power dynamic in AEW, it doesn't make sense for him to lose this match. Keep that going. Let him keep his heat. Darby Allin can go off and do other things. He doesn't need to win this match. So to me, This match should be won by Jack Perry. I don't, however you want to put it together. I'm not as sure on that how they want to do it. Um, yeah, Jack Perry should win and keep on being the TNT Championship and just keep being the big heel that he is, the jackass that he is. Next up, you've got the All In Trios title again with the champions, the Patriarchy, up against the House of Black, the Bang Bang Gang, and which was announced on, or not really announced, but one on Collision. You have the BCC, which it would put together of Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and the Bastard Pac. Hometown boy there. Really good to see him finally get on the card. He kind of missed it last year when he was there. He didn't get to have a big moment like he wants to. Unfortunately, the only moment I think he's going to have in this match is going to be a big spot where he takes out someone, because I don't think they are going to win. It is a London ladder match, which I'm guessing is just a regular ladder match, but in London seems, I don't know anything that's going to be special about it other than it's there. But kind of what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we see ladder matches all the time with 5, 6 competitors, and sometimes it looks like a car crash in the ring. You're going to have at least, and I say at least because all of these factions have other people that could jump in. You've got Mother Wayne for the Patriarchy who could do something crazy. You've got Jay White with the Bang Bang Gang if something happens and he wants to get involved. I mentioned Mother Wayne. You've got Julia for the House of Black, where if Mother Wayne tries to get involved, Julia could come out and cause some stir with her coming out. The BCC, obviously, you've got other BCC members like John Moxley, who currently isn't doing anything on the show, from what I understand. So having a run in from him would obviously pop the crowd. Um, so there's obviously extra people that can always get in the match. But even if it is only the 4 teams involved, 12 teams or 12 people from 4 teams in a ladder match is going to be carnage. That's double the normal people that you normally see in a ladder match. AEW is really good at putting on ladder matches. They obviously, they do a lot of big spots and things like that in normal matches. So when you throw ladders involved, it obviously just ups the ante, ups the risk, and just makes a beautiful disaster to kind of quote a phrase that everybody I think would enjoy. There's a lot of talented people in the ring. There's a lot of talented daredevils that are going to be in the ring that will attempt to do some crazy stuff. In the end of the match, I think it is the Bang Bang Gang that takes it. They just lost the titles to the Patriarchy not long ago. I think the Patriarchy and the House of Black will continue to feud. Maybe they will have a number 1 contenders match next week or something to face the Bang Bang Gang at All Out. So I think their feud will kind of continue, but I think the Bang Bang Gang needs to reestablish themselves after they had to hand over / lose. It kind of convoluted the way they had to lose the titles because Jay White got hurt, had to go out, and now they've got Juice Robinson in. So I think just to reestablish them as a group, they should win these titles. Let the other two teams, not called the BCC plus Pac, get in there, have a number 1 contenders match. You can always come back in a couple of weeks to have another title match if you want to hot shot it, or if you want to keep the Bang 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 Gang strong. You can always let them hold that, and then when Jay White comes back in a few weeks after his injury is done, then you could have some tension between those guys. Hey, what do we do with the third part of the trios? And it just creates a lot of other stories that you can have going forward. And yeah, I just think they need to be stronger. I like them as a team. House of Black is probably my favorite team in the match, but to me, the Bang Bang Gang just needs it more, and I think that's the way they should go. Next up, you have the For the World Championship with the Learning Tree. Hi guys, Chris Jericho and Hook. In as much as it will hurt my heart to say what I'm about to say, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this match because I don't know that it deserves it, because I think Jericho is going to win. I don't want Jericho to win. I want Hook to take it and go off and do his own thing, go into a different feud, have somebody else that he could wrestle that's more his speed. But I don't know, with everything that Jericho's got going on right now, the amount of heat he gets every week, good or bad, I don't think they take it off of him now. I think they keep the Learning Tree going for a little while, let that group kind of continue to fester and and worm its way into everybody's lives again. And then hopefully Hook comes out of this, even when he loses, he can still get away from that title, kind of say, "Look, I'm retiring it. I'm done going after that title, and do something else." Maybe him and Jack Perry can do something. That would be a really good match with those two guys. Maybe he can kind of go after, either the international title, or anything else other than being around Jericho. Let Jericho go do something else with his title. Maybe Samoa Joe can come back and kind of take that back after his injury or after his time off, and maybe take that, and then maybe you get Joe and Hook later on. In anything just to get Hook away from him for now. But I don't see that the company is going to let Jericho lose this. And it's already more time than I really want to talk about Jericho. So we're going to go straight to the next match, which is the World Tag Team Title match: FTR versus the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed. Um, and you have arguably two of the greatest tag teams in professional wrestling right now in FTR and the Young Bucks, and you have the Acclaimed, who is a really good tag team. I wouldn't call them young, but obviously they're not to the level yet of the Young Bucks and FTR. But to me, watching the show every week, the tag team division just needs a shot in the arm. Um, and I don't know that FTR or the Young Bucks would provide that. It kind of feels like either staying the same or going backwards. Um, Again, this is another one where you can have the Acclaimed win, get the titles, take the titles off, go do some stuff with some new tag teams, some other tag teams, revitalize that tag team division, and then let the Young Bucks and FTR, maybe one screws the other and they go off and they have their own feud away from the title, kind of going back and forth, and it just have it to be two separate things. The Young Bucks and FTR having another match after this doesn't need a title attached to it. Let the Acclaim go through, build up some other tag teams, get your tag team division back to what it used to be, where it was one of the premier divisions in the wrestling world, and let some of these other tag teams go after it. So that, to me, it makes the most sense there. Again, there's that phrase that I will hammer into the ground until the day I die, because that's all I can go on is what makes sense to me, and that is the Acclaimed winning. Whether that's the FTR coming in and screwing the Young Bucks at the last second, or the Young Bucks doing the same to FTR, and then the Acclaim just taking advantage and getting the win, is what I really hope happens. And then let the Young Bucks and FTR just fight. Next up, you've got the TBS Championship with Mercedes Moné against the Britt Baker DMD. Look, and anybody that's watched these videos, I've talked about Britt Baker in a video before. We've talked about him on the Thursday Night Tag Team. I'm a big Britt Baker fan, but again, I'm going to say it. It does not make sense for Mercedes Moné to lose her TBS Championship right now. This is Britt's first big match coming back from injury. You've got everything going on with her. You just had Camille come in as Mercedes Moné's. Let me say that 10 times fast. Heavy or bodyguard. So I don't know that having Britt Baker coming in and win right now does anything good for those two, just because it kills any momentum they had. And there's a few different ways you can do this. Obviously, you want to keep Monet strong. You don't want Britt Baker to come in and just seem like she just gets beat straight away. You can either have Camille come in and cost her the match, do something underhanded, maybe a ref bump, and Camille comes in and hits the torture rack bomb, or another big move on her, and then lets Mercedes Moné pin her. I have heard rumors again, nothing concrete, that Jamie Hayter could make an appearance, whether it's in this match or some other capacity, because obviously she is homegrown talent as well there. She's got a lot of history with Britt Baker. I mentioned on the Thursday night show, I think it would be really cool for Jamie Hayter to come in to act like she's going to save Britt Baker and even the odds, and then turn around and clock Britt Baker and become part of Monet's corporation. So now Monet has two bodyguards with her, making Monet seem more untouchable, more evil, I guess, just having two henchmen with her, or henchwomen, I guess. I don't know if that's really a term. We'll go with it. And then there's a lot of stuff that you can do from that. Either Britt Baker can come back again and try it another time, and maybe a cage match to try to neutralize those two. You could have Jamie Hayter and Camille kind of start going at each other for who should be the top person in Monet's corporation. And then them end up having a match, because I would love to see Camille and Jamie Hayter have a match down the road. But again, just the momentum that's behind Monet and everything, I don't see her losing at this point, but I don't see it being clean. I think somebody's going to come in and cost Britt Baker the match, just because you don't want Britt Baker to lose in her first big match back. Next up, you have the AEW International / American, who knows, title against Europe's hero in Will Ospreay and self-proclaimed American hero MJF. This match is set up perfectly for Will Ospreay to have a triumphant win in his home country, and to vanquish who is the biggest heel, who garners the most heat in the entire company, and MJF. You had the whole thing on Dynamite where they had the promo where MJF said you're too afraid to pull the trigger on the one move that can beat me. That's the Tiger Driver that he obviously hasn't used since he hurt Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson. Sorry. You had Bryan Danielson coming in after that match and telling Will Ospreay, pull the trigger, use the move, do it, put him down, do whatever you have to do. So with him kind of signing off on it, and I think with everything that MJF has done to Will Ospreay's friends, beating up Michael Oku, beating up Kyle Fletcher, beating up Daniel Garcia, with everything going on there, and just the amount of heat garnered by MJF, it makes it a perfect time for him to come out. It will be the biggest pop of the night and maybe of the year for Will Ospreay to end that match with a Tiger Driver, pinning him 1, 2, 3, standing up, taking that American Championship. In as much as I hate to throw anything American away, he throws that American Championship in a trash bin, just like MJF did to the international title. Picks up an international title. If you want to give it a new look, that's fine. If you want to bring back the look that it already had, just to have the same title back, either way, it's going to be the biggest pop of the night. It's going to be the biggest pop of the year. I don't know how the match itself tops the one they had a few weeks ago, which myself and a lot of the people I've talked to and talked with called that the match of the year so far. The one that went 59.99999 seconds, and MJF won underhandedly. So I think emotion-wise, you can top it with the Tiger Driver pin and win for Will Ospreay, but just as a whole match, I don't know how you top that one. Hopefully they do. Because if you're going to have another match that's that good, that tops what the majority of people I've seen call match of the year so far, good on you. Let's go. I'll watch it 10 times. So, but there again, AEW International Championship makes its return. Will Ospreay wins using the Tiger Driver, big pop. And then you go on to I'm not sure where. You could have MJF go into the main event scene. He never lost the world title when he got hurt, so he's got that claim. So even if he loses here, he can forget about Will Ospreay if he wants to, move on and take on Swerve or Daniel Bryan again. If it's Daniel Bryan, especially, he can come through and try to be the guy that takes out Daniel Bryan. And if you think he gets heat now, with this American gimmick that he's got going on, kind of delusional American gimmick, if he's the one that takes out Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, sorry, I keep doing that. I apologize, everybody. I will try my best not to call him Daniel Bryan. I know that was his WWE name, but I watched him for so many years to know that name. It's bound to happen. But to come in and take out Bryan Danielson and to be the one that retires him, it will increase his heat times 10. You look at, again, going back to a WWE reference, when Baron Corbin took out Kurt Angle and retired Kurt Angle from the that garnered Baron Corbin a ton of heat, whether people liked it or not, or thought it was the right decision or not. That was a big deal. I mean, they talked about that for a long time. The person who finally retires John Cena, or the person who finally retires Chris Jericho, or you know anybody like that who's been a mainstay for 20 years in this business. If you're the guy that takes them out, that catapults you to unseen heights that you had previously been to, whether you do it as a good guy or a bad guy. I really think MJF is probably the perfect person to do that, um, just to make him the ultimate bad guy and the ultimate heel that would be in that company, even more than he already is. And then Will Ospreay can go off and do really cool stuff with other people. I mentioned Hook maybe going after the national championship. Hook and Will Ospreay would really good match. I mean, imagine if Ricochet comes in after Will Ospreay wins and challenges, you know, Ricochet and Ospreay with another match with some of the great matches they've had in the past. That would be really cool. There is a lot of cool stuff that could happen, in that respect going forward. So I just really think there's not any way that you don't give this to Will Ospreay. The next last match you have, to me, the best storyline that AEW has had going easily all year. You've got Mariah May, Tony Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. There's really so much more than the World Championship that's going on. The storyline that's been building, obviously, with Mariah May being Tony Storm's protege, winning that championship title match by winning the Owen Hart Cup, and then just destroying Tony Storm, turning on her, and just being a huge heel the past few weeks and being really good at it. Um, Tony Storm's had some really great matches when she's been champion. To me, this is Tony Storm's best run of her career. Best work she's done, best character she's had by far. AEW and her have put together a full package here, better than anything she ever had in WWE, better than anything she ever had in the Indies. To me, anything else that she's had when she was in the Outcast or anything before this at AEW, Timeless Tony Storm has been a great character. And this is just another huge stepping stone for her, where I think she comes in with everything that she's been beaten down, everything that's happened. I think she comes in and she gets the win. I think she's triumphant here. I don't know, as great as Mariah May has been, I don't know that she's ready for a world title yet. Not that I don't think she wouldn't be decent, but I don't think she would be as big of a heel and as big of a presence without Tony Storm there. Because where do you go? Where does Mariah May go after this? Once you're done with Tony Storm, that's kind of what I want to see from her, because she's been thrust in the spotlight and she's done an incredible job. Like I said, this is the best storyline they've had on TV all year. But I want to make sure that that wasn't carried more by Tony Storm, and then Mariah May has helped it. Then to make sure Mariah May is a equal there. So even if Tony Storm wins here, and then Mariah May comes back later on in another match, maybe underhandedly gets away, and then you make her champion. But I think at this point in time, you've got to see what Mariah May does once she's knocked down a peg. Can she bring herself back up even as a heel? We know Tony Storm can build herself up, can build herself back, but I don't see Tony Storm losing at this juncture. So, and really, I mentioned in another show where we did some predictions, this is probably the biggest my head versus my heart match, because my head is going to tell me that Mariah May, because she's been beating down everybody, she's been dominant, in the ring as the heel. Tony Storm has kind of tried to fight up from underneath. She had the really bad match with Paige, which we won't go into because I've already had a diatribe about it. Go back Thursday night triple threat or Thursday night tag team show at the Called Me Mr. U, the podcast network, and check out what I said there. But you can't go away from this gimmick with Tony Storm, and I don't want to see her lose the championship yet. So I'm going to go with my heart, and Tony Storm winning and retaining, and then seeing where we go from here. Finally, we have the last match, the main event. It is title versus career. AEW World Champion were Swerve Strickland and Brian Danielson. I got his name right that time. Yeah, see what I did? I got it. Knew we'd get there eventually. And look, these are two incredible professional wrestlers. It didn't have much of a story up until a couple weeks ago, to where Swerve finally finished off with his last title feud, and then really focused in on being the guy that ends Brian Danielson's career, and has really kind of turned heel quickly. He's been a babyface, the past couple of feuds that he's been in, kind of a tweener babyface, but he's really kind of pulled some underhanded stuff over the past few weeks and done some underhanded promos over the past few weeks that's really kind of made him into a heel, which really throws us up into the air. Who's going to win? A couple of weeks ago, I would have said Swerve takes this easy. It's just another match to make him look really good, like they've had with the past few matches. The Osprey one comes to mind that Osprey wanted to do to make Swerve Strickland look that much stronger. But with everything that's going on with Brian Danielson over the past few weeks, with the heel turn that Swerve Strickland has gotten, it has kind of made me pause to think maybe Daniel Bryan could do it, and that's why they're building up the retirement, just to kind of build up um the peril in this match. But again, I'm going to go back to that same phrase that I've used quite a few times. It just doesn't make sense. As much as I would love to see Daniel Bryan win, or Bryan Danielson win, and take that title and have some really good matches before he decides to run off into the sunset. I the next people that are coming up for world title matches, I don't want to see Daniel Bryan die. I've mentioned earlier, you've got Darby Allin, who already has a title match because of a match he won a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite. You've got who I think is going to win the gauntlet match, which is Hangman Page. Daniel Bryan getting to a match with those two might end his career, whether he wants it to or not. Those two wrestlers have a style which is very hard hitting, very unforgiving. They do a lot of crazy stuff. In what you've seen with a lot of Darby Allin and Hangman Page matches, those matches tend to lend themselves better to Swerve Strickland going on with all the neck problems and other injury issues that Brian Danielson has had. I don't know. I don't know that I want to see those matches. So for that instance alone, and for the fact that Swerve has really leaned into, I'm going to be the one to end you. I really hope. I say hope. I really think Swerve wins, and they let him be the guy that ends the American Dragon Brian Danielson's career, lets him go off into retirement, takes that heat, remains the heel. Now again, we've done a lot of switches and for lack of a better term, swerves with Swerve Strickland on whether he's a heel or a heel. He's done a lot of turns. To me, if he wins this match, which I think he will, he needs to keep that heel persona. He needs to tout every single week, I'm the guy that took out Brian Danielson. I'm the guy that slayed the American Dragon. I am the best in the world now. You just had the promo last week where Brian Danielson said he was the best in the world over the last 20 years. I'm the one that took him out. To be the man, you got to beat the man, as we've heard Ric Flair say for decades. Well, guess what? Swerve Strickland is going to be the guy that beat the man. And then he goes off to have, great feuds with Hangman Page. He goes off to have great feuds with Darby Allin. Maybe after 6 months or so, you put him in a program with MJF again, and have two mega heels going at each other, just for that championship there. I do want, I want to make sure I get this in here, because I don't want this to be Brian Danielson's last match. I know it is supposedly career versus title. Let Brian Danielson go away 6 months, maybe next year at All In Texas. Maybe he comes back for one final match against any opponent he wants. A dream match. No matter who that is, you start. He comes back maybe in 8 months, starts building to it, and says, "Look, I know I lost there, but I don't want my career to end like that." And has one last match in or even if he has a small series of matches with just some dream matches that he wants to put together, but he doesn't need to win here. Like I said, with the people that are coming up, with the people that are next in line, it needs to be Swerve Strickland. So for that, I'm going to say that it has been an amazing career for Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan, American Dragon, whatever he's been called his entire career. Um, but I think for now, it comes to a close. Hopefully, he comes back, has one more match later on, way down the line. But I think Swerve Strickland takes it, takes the title, goes off and has these next few feuds, and continues to be the face of the company, which is well deserved because the guy has been incredible. I don't want to take anything away from Swerve by putting this too much under Brian Danielson's career umbrella. Swerve Strickland has been an amazing face of the company, an amazing champion for AEW for a while now, and I think he deserves to win as well. And I think he deserves that extra bump or extra push that I mentioned about being the guy that takes out the American Dragon. That really solidifies him as the guy in your company for the future. So why not? Why not Swerve? Hashtag why not Swerve? Yeah, that's who I think. That's those are my predictions for AEW All In London. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great show. AEW always delivers. We'll go back to the kind of full card there. Quick rundown: Statlander, Hangman Page, or Orange Cassidy, the Bang Bang Gang, the Acclaimed, Chris Jericho, Jack Perry, Mercedes Moné, Will Ospreay, Tony Storm, and Swerve Strickland in the main event. Let me know if you agree. Leave a comment. If you think those are stupid, let me know. If you think those are great, if you agree, let me know. You can follow me at all socials at _Big Mike 27. I am on X, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, anything. Just look for Big Mike 27, and I'll be around to answer any questions, to take any criticisms. Just let me know, what you're thinking, what we're doing. And then thank you again. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoy All In. It's going to be a great show. Thank you for watching. Have a great one.